very pre-seed stage. So developing that network and also moving across to geographically to the US. And that's a reason why I'm looking at business school.
Okay, beautiful.
Maybe should I pass it to someone else, Anamika or Shanmukh?
Yeah, hi, I'm Shanmukh. Currently, I am working in Morgan Stanley in the technical field. So basically, I am in the long-term view, I am planning to start an investment bank. So I'm looking for a good financial course in the top B schools. So I'm planning ahead like after 2 to 3 years. So basically, I'm looking for a better profile building as I am from technical background. So that's the reason I'm here today.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shanmukh. And when you start the bank, remember me, give me some money. Does
Sure.
somebody else want to go?
Yeah, hi. My name is Atul. I'm from Bangalore. I've spent around 6 years in working in my own business, kind of a startup in a consumer electronics field. Now, the company which I was working with was in US, got acquired by another company. So my business work has been changed a bit. So I'm in a position where I'm looking for alternatives, like maybe in terms of widening my horizon in the sector, as well as looking for some upper middle level opportunities by doing an MBA abroad. My two concerns for which I'm here is to understand the scenario of the age, because I am 32 right now. So I want to understand like whether USB schools are in my reach or not. And secondly, I would like to understand of the round 3 and round 4 applications, because I'm already late and I don't want to spend one more year. So maybe if I give my GMAT in next 1 month, is it possible for me to, get into that round 3 or round 4 applications for next year so I can get into September intake? So these are two questions that I have. So for that, I'm here.
Okay, sure. Please raise your questions again once we get into it.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, folks, I think what I will do right now is I will give a very brief and very quick introduction, and then I'll start taking questions. So about myself, my name is Karthik, and I am the founder and the chief coach at August Academy. So I'm an alumnus of IIT Madras and Stanford University. And what happened was immediately after I finished my PhD, I joined a startup. I got bit by the startup bug, and then I thought, hey, what if I grow with the company? Then my life is made, something along those lines. Then shortly after, I realized that what I joined was not a startup in the sense it wasn't intending to grow, but it was more a small business, right? So it was profitable. It was a very happy company, but it was not the kind of company that wanted or chased explosive growth, which is what I wanted at that point in time, right? So then I decided to move to India. I took up a job with General Motors in Bangalore. Very large company, very nice company, awesome colleagues. We had a very collegial atmosphere, and I really liked it. But I felt I wasn't getting the kind of responsibility that I wanted, and it looked that in order to get the kind of responsibility that I wanted, I needed to be in a much more senior position. And I felt that an MBA would be the best way to get that as soon as possible, right? I mean, it's not that I wouldn't get that eventually, but in my mind, I wanted to get there as soon as possible, right? And the other thing was, there's a large company, right? I mean, more than 100,000, 200,000 employees across the world. And then there's like a 4, 5, 7 tiers system of suppliers. With so many people working on cars, somehow you lose touch with the end customer. And I felt that I was missing that, So I was doing something, I was sitting in an office, I was working on a mini project, but I didn't really know how it impacted my customers. So these are two things that I wanted to change about my career. And as a result, what happened was I prepared for an MBA. This was in the year 2012-13. I got a 770 on my GMAT, and then I applied, and then I got into the exec program at Stanford. And Jan 2013, folks, is when I got the call. But due to a few personal circumstances, I couldn't take it up. And in fact, I had just decided to start my own company like a week before the call came. So Jan 2013 was also when I started August Academy, which means we'll be 10 years old in just a little more than a week. So congratulations to us. Very happy for it. Definitely wasn't the plan when I started. Wasn't the plan, meaning I didn't expect that it would come this far, and I'm very glad that it did. 10 years, lots of applicants, lots of very talented people I've had the good fortune of working with, and we've also got some excellent results. So we've had people getting into Harvard, we've had people getting into, so except Stanford and Wharton, we've had people getting into every top 10 college in the US. So Harvard, Booth, Kellogg, MIT, Tuck, Darden, Columbia, you name it, everything's happened. Within Europe, all top colleges, London Business School, INSEAD, IMD, HEC, Oxford, Cambridge, IE, ISC, Saturday, everything. And within Asia, of course, NUS, NTU, ISB, IIMs, and HKUST also, right? So every major territory, every major college, we've had a candidates get in. We've had a very good R1 this year as well, and we are heading into R2, which is about 10 days away at most. So looking forward to it. This is, we've been doing this webinar every second week this year. Every second Monday, in fact, at the same time, 6:30. In fact, this is the first time we've had these technical issues. Otherwise, it's been going without hiccups. Every other Monday, so that's 16 episodes over 32 weeks. That's what we've been doing. Usually we've had about 10 to 20 people attend. And today I think we have around 10 people or so in our call. So this will be our last call for this year, not just 2022, but for this academic year. Then again, we'll probably kickstart things for the next academic year, season 4, maybe in May or something. Yeah. That's everything about me. I am unable to read chat. So please just speak your questions and then I'll be happy to answer. Go for it, guys. Any order, just introduce yourself. Let me know what your question is.
So can I just point out the question that I mentioned before?
Yes, please. And who is this? Atul.
Yeah, my name is Atul. So basically my first question is regarding the age. I have read and read a lot of blogs and opinions of people from in the internet that an MBA after 30 is challenging for US profile. You should look for European B schools if the age is somewhere close to 30 or 31 or 32. So my age is 32 right now. So is that like generally true that US B schools are out of reach once you reach that particular age?
See, most top business schools, you may not have a great shot at it. In exceptional cases, people are able to get into top schools also at that age group. But if you're looking outside the top 10, I don't think it should be a big problem. But please get to it soon, because what's going to happen is you will soon hit the point where you may be a better candidate for the executive MBA, right?
Okay.
So please make the decision soon, and then I think you should be fine.
So when you say soon, you mean I should get into some program by next year intake, right? That should be the best scenario.
I don't know if next year intake is possible. It depends on what stage of preparation you are at this point.
Okay.
So either the January 2024 intake or the September 2024 intake. Definitely get in by then.
Okay. And my second question is regarding the round. Okay, you just mentioned that round 3 and round 4 are not feasible, right? You just answered that. Round 3 application, round 4s are not like sensible to apply on?
See, in general, it's not a great time to apply, round 3 and round 4. I'm not 100% sure about what it's going to look like this year. Okay. But yeah, in general, I don't think it's a good idea. But in case the schools haven't received a lot of candidates this year, we will get to know very, very shortly. And then my advice may be that it's okay to apply in round 3 also.
So based on that, like there are some dates coming up in March, for example, for Oxford and Cambridge, and then even for NUS, Singapore as well. So should I wait and get an update, or just try it now and then also try it next year? Like, what should I do?
See, are you done with the GMAT?
No, I will be giving UMAT next month. That's the date. So
Okay.
early February.
So definitely do that
Huh.
and start preparing your applications.
Okay.
And if it looks like the colleges haven't received enough candidates, then it may be okay for you to apply this year as well. So just start preparing your applications regardless of what it looks like, and apply if it looks like they haven't received a lot of applications. If it looks like they've closed their intake almost, then it's better to wait till next year.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
But prepare regardless. I think that's my advice.
Okay.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions?
Hi, Karthik. This is Anita here.
Hi, Anita. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. How are you, Karthik?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Go on.
Last month, I have contacted you regarding your consultations for my MBA applications.
Okay.
So, but my GRE score was on the lower end for my target school at that time. So I have asked your advice regarding applying for these schools, and you have advised me to improve the score and try it next time.
Okay.
So I have given it and have got some considerable improvements. So
Okay, very good.
So I want your suggestions that if I will be able to suffice the criteria for my target schools in September 2023.
So you want to know what the criteria is for your target schools?
No, if my score will suffice for September 2023 intake or not. Whether I
Okay.
Similarly, I'm on the same page with Atul. Mr. Atul has spoken last, whether I'll be able to apply it during September 2023 or not. And my age is also considerably 31. So is it possible for UK and US geographic locations, or whether any constraints regarding that?
Yeah, so the answer to that with regards to age group is about the same. In case the earlier you apply, and when I say the earlier you apply, I'm not talking about necessarily the earlier this year. If possible, this intake would be the best. If this intake is not possible, then you can apply for the next year's intake. But try not to delay it beyond that. And that's from the age group point of view, right? Because after that, you may just become a better candidate for the executive MBA compared to the regular MBA. Apart from that, I don't see any issues. Now, with regards to applying this year, we are almost within reaching distance of the R2 deadlines. So I'm not sure how many colleges you can put in at this point in time, at least how many colleges you can put in good applications for, right? With regards to R3, again, my comments would be the same as what I had to say for Atul, which is we don't know at this point if colleges have filled in their seats or somewhere close to filling their seats. What I can share is typically we recommend that people not apply in round 3 and round 4 because the number of seats would be almost filled up. But this is slightly complicated by the news this year that they haven't received a lot of applications in round 1. Okay. So if they've made up for it in round 2 by getting more applications than normal, then essentially then it's the same as in previous years. If they don't get a lot of applications in round 2 this year also, then round 3 may become a possibility. But I won't be able to comment on it till I've heard something or the other from the colleges themselves. And that we may not get to hear till almost after the round 2 interviews are over. So maybe in February or so is when we'll get to hear.
Okay. Thanks, Karthik.
Right.
Hi, Karthik.
Hi, Shanmugh. How are you?
Hi, this is Atul Yadav here.
Hi, Atul. How are you?
I'm fine, Karthik. See, my question is, I'm working with Indian Railways with 10 years of experience, and I'll be turning 33 in Feb. next year, and
Okay.
I'm looking to apply in top 5 schools of Canada, and
Okay.
I'll be taking GMAT within 2 months. So
Okay.
what are my chances given my age and experience?
No, age I've told you, no. I mean, nothing much can be predicted. Okay. If you have a good profile, then I think it's still worth applying.
Okay.
Better you apply this year compared to next year. But then if this year, the seats are full, then it doesn't make sense for you to apply. So then you have no choice but to apply next year. And without the GMAT in place, it's a little difficult for me to comment on whether you will be a good candidate or not. Profile-wise, you seem to be a good candidate, but the GMAT is also important. And if you're able to meet the target GMAT requirements, then I think you should be a good candidate. If not, then you may need to spend time improving it.
Right.
Yeah. I'll take questions from either Shanmukh or Stanish.
Yeah, can I go?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go for it, Shanmukh.
Yeah, hi Karthik. So I
Hi.
want to mention some things like I have graduated in May 2022 only.
May 2022, is it? Okay.
Yes.
Welcome to the real world.
Okay. So currently I'm working in Morgan Stanley, like as a technology analyst.
Okay.
So actually, my things are like I want to plan MBA after like 2 years, maybe in September 2024 or Jan 2025 intake.
Okay.
Now I'm preparing for the GMAT. Maybe I can give in next 2 months.
Okay.
So I have a clear idea regarding like why MBA, like why a particular college. I have did enough research on like what are my short-term goals and the long-term goals.
Okay.
But the thing is like when it comes to like I have very little work experience, and the second thing is the financial background. Like I was completely from computer science, this technical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like when like any institute, like any B school, like when it comes to choosing a particular student, like I have to stand out between all these people. Like many experienced people will be there. So like I want to ask your suggestions. Like within this 2 years, like what suggestions can you give me? Like I'm thinking as I'm working in Morgan Stanley, like even to write different codes, I need to have some business knowledge, like the business
Mm-hmm.
exposure, all these things. Currently, I'm working in wealth management. Like I have to know the fractional trading, all this stuff.
Okay.
So what I want is like for better profile building, I should stand out among different people, different experienced people from different countries. So I want some suggestions from you.
Okay. See, that becomes a big topic in and by itself. But glad that you're asking me at this point in time. You're a 2022 graduate, so you will ideally become a target candidate in 2027, which means you should be applying 26 for the 27 intake, right? 5 years.
Okay.
It's okay if you apply in 25 for the 26 intake, that's still fine. But if you're applying in 24 for the 25 intake, that may be a little bit on the earlier side. So, plan to have your earliest round of applications in 2026 for the 27 intake. That could be January or that could be September. January is mostly the European colleges, and September is most colleges across the world. That's the first thing. You already have a good brand name on your resume, so that's something that's going to work in your favor. Try to do well at work and try to get a sequence of promotions, right? So that I think is going to be very, very, very useful. Get a good GMAT score, get good extracurriculars. I think this would be a great place to start. With regards to what else you can do, I mean, designing your life at this point may seem a little tricky because we don't know what opportunities are going to come your way. So it all depends on what opportunities you face, right? I mean, in a dream scenario, you will start a fintech company within the next year or so, and then it will go, it'll raise like massive funding in about 2 years. And if that happens, then you don't need an MBA, to be honest, right? The middle case scenario is when you start the fintech company, you raise like not a lot of money, but a little bit of money, but then the company doesn't go anywhere, and then you say, hey, you know what, I want to learn, and then I want to come back and do it better, right? Or you continue working in the corporate firm and just progress steadily through the ranks, get a good GMAT, and I mean, just do whatever comes your way, do it the best way possible, right? So these are some of the things you can do. Focus on your GMAT, get a very good score, and also get some very good extracurriculars. I think those will be very useful for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Generally, like in every intake, we have some applicants from deferred MBA, right? Deferred MBA, like, yeah.
So
like,
I don't know if you will be able to apply to the deferred MBA right now because you're out of college.
Yes. Yeah, like I'm asking, like, what percent of like people will be from the deferred? Like is it very low or?
It's very low.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I'll take Stanish's question right now.
Perfect. Thanks for the thoughtful sessions, Karthik, and also the posts. So my question is very specific. Maybe I'll just take one of them and focus that on education. So one of the things that I've did, I know that you've been to Stanford. It'd be really nice to see how the admission committee thinks in terms of education. So I've done an online MBA before. And that's majorly because I wanted to speak the language of business graduates and also to pivot in my career. But the reason I want to do a business school is really for the investment in people and in that community, and really positioning myself. So one part of that question is, how does the AdCom really think about having done a previous MBA program, and how might you want to go in really approaching it and presenting that to them? And the second part is maybe that's beneficial also to some other people in the group today. My GPA was around 8. I studied in NIT Trichy in India, and then I did my master's. And do I deliberately go and point out also why I've gotten an 8? So when you look, for example, at Stanford, you've got these graders which are really, really high. And do you want to be deliberate and intentional in saying, okay, what really happened and why is it relatively low?
See, an 8 GPA is not bad at all. So I don't think you need to explain an 8.0 GPA. If it's less than 6, then yes, you may have a problem on your hands. But at this point, I don't think you have anything to worry about. So I would just keep away from that. And with regards to your other question, I don't know what the pedigree of your online MBA is. Like, where did you get it from?
It's accredited. It's called Quantic. So it's a it was kind of disruptive. So no professors, just technology-driven MBA course. But
I don't think that should be a problem. I don't think that should be a problem. We've had people getting into colleges after getting degrees from the IIMs, right?
Okay.
I mean, there's always the question mark of, okay, you went to an IIM, so what exactly are you trying to do right now? Why do you want another MBA? But they make it, okay? And in fact, one of my applicants actually had a degree from IIM Ahmedabad before. Okay, fine. Yeah. So I don't think you need to worry about that. Just tell them exactly what you told me just now, and you should be fine. There are a few colleges in the top 15 that actually don't like applications from second MBA candidates. All right. Tuck is one name that comes to mind. You may want to reach out to them, send them your qualifications, maybe even like a copy of your certificate, and ask them whether this falls under the category of what they would prefer not to have applications from, right? And if they say, hey, you know what, it's not a good idea for you to apply, then just let it go. But then, except for 2 or 3 programs in the top 15, almost everything else is okay, even with a regular MBA degree. So you should be okay with an online MBA degree. My feeling is, even for the 2 or 3 programs that typically don't take second MBA candidates, you may still be okay because yours is an online MBA and it's not from like a brand name university. So I think it should be fine.
Hello, Karthik. So my name is
Hi, Devesh.
Devesh.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. So I've done my graduation in electrical engineering in 2020. So
Okay.
after that, I started preparing for UPSC, and I dedicated one complete year to prepare for UPSC. So that was my kind of gap year. But I do have some learnings along with the journey. And then after UPSC, I knew that I can't invest my whole time in just one examination. So I decided to pivot into other career options, other options that are available. So right now I'm enrolled into many kinds of cohorts and programs. Like right now I'm into Citizens of Public Leadership Fellow. I'm also a Bharat Fellow, and I'm getting training into a as a career counselor. So right now I'm planning to get a GMAT, to give the GMAT, but I wanted to know that having a career gap of 2 years almost right now. So, and also the B school, the demand of B school is currently about 3 years, 3+ years of work experience. So is there a possibility to explain my story without a but right now I'm planning to get work experience currently. But is there a way to explain my story and get into the top business schools based on the career gap I have?
See, I don't think the career gap is a big issue, provided you actually do end up getting that 3 years of work experience afterwards. So don't worry too much about it. Just get the 3 years of work experience and then you apply. That should be fine. Now, even whatever you've done in the previous 2 years, if you've done some interesting work, that may still qualify you for an application. That is something the college has to comment on. I cannot say, right? But what I can say for sure is forget the work gap. If you're able to get quality 3 years of work experience from this point on, I think you should still be fine.
So is it necessary to get a 3 years experience? Because at that time I would be a 29 years old. So I'm planning to get 1 year's experience and explain my story and the learnings along with the journey. And currently, I'm currently planning to build my profile according to my gap year. So I'm planning to take a 1 year experience at least. So what I'm asking is, will that work experience of 1 year work experience will count with addition to the gap year of 2 years?
That may not work very well. Okay. So I'll tell you why. Any company you join, let's assume you're joining a corporation, right? So just for the want of an example, I'm going to take the example of TCS. So if you join TCS, in the first year, you're just going to be a graduate engineer trainee, right? Regardless of whether you join immediately after college or whether you join like 2 years later. Yeah. So after spending 1 year as a graduate engineer trainee, where you will be, attending multiple workshops and learning about a lot of technologies and all that, you will not be working on any live project. Okay. So after you spend 1 year doing that, then you'll spend 1 year working as an apprentice on projects. I say apprentice, but they don't call it an apprentice. They'll probably call you a software engineer 1 or something along those lines. Yeah. And after that, the second step at the end of maybe 2.5 years is when you become a team lead, right? At that point, you'll be managing about 2 to 4 candidates. And then about 5 years later, that is when you'll get into some position of responsibility where you'll be facing clients, you'll be responsible for project management. You'll have maybe about 7 to 8 candidates under your supervision, so on and so forth. So now, if you come to me and say you're only going to get 1 year of work experience, it's not like a box that you tick. Essentially, what you'll be doing when you join any one of these corporations is you'll be spending your time in the traineeship period and you will not have created any real impact in the workplace. Now, that will not be valuable. When you are compared with other people who've also spent 3 years at TCS, now, these guys are going to have team lead kind of positions and they're going to be supervising about 4 to 5 candidates. They may have client interactions. They may have managed some projects. They would be that much further ahead of you in the same career vertical. Okay. I mean, I'm not saying overall or holistically in life, but in that particular career vertical, they will definitely be 2 years ahead of you. And when you are competing with candidates like that, you will be at a disadvantage, right? So unless you've done something extraordinary with regards to impact in the last couple of years, I'm not saying that's not possible. It's possible. We'll have to have a discussion, and I'll have to have a look at your resume to see what kind of projects you've been involved in and all that. I know that there are some candidates who prepare for UPSC who actually volunteer time for certain organizations, non-profit organizations, and contribute towards the betterment of the country in addition to studying, right? So if you've been doing some of these things and you've managed to gain some very differentiating experience, that would be valuable. But in case you've not been doing that, then you're the same as any new graduate, which means whatever rules apply to new graduates apply to you as well. Don't worry too much about the age. Just let it go, and you'll be somebody who's 2 years older than the rest of the class, but still at the same level. That's how you should benchmark yourself. So don't worry about the age.
Okay, so what I pick up is that ideally I should have a responsibility more than a work experience. Responsibility or an impact is more important. So
that is correct.
So as in my profile, I have been worked as in an NGO, and I have been a career counselor as a freelancer. Currently, I'm enrolled into a online MBA degree, which is provided by Pramath Raj Sinha, the Dean of ISB, Harappa Education. So there are some spikes in my CVs. So does that count as a responsibility, or again, I do that doesn't even consider as an experience or kind of?
I wouldn't be able to say without having a more extensive discussion on that. There's possibilities, and then there are some situations where it may not have a lot of impact also. So, I mean, we'll have to examine that on a case-by-case basis.
Got it. Thank you.
I think, Namika, I'll take your question now.
Hello, Karthik.
Hi, Namika,
I'm fine, thank you. Okay, just to brief about my background, I'm a mechanical engineer working in Alstom Transport. It's a train manufacturer, and I have total of more than 4 years of experience. I work for product development of very specialized components of the train. I have good international exposure. I work in all international projects, and I directly interact with clients who are located across the globe, like in Bucharest, Sydney, Montreal, and within India, MMRC, Indian Railways. I also have a lot of achievements. Like this year, I received out-of-turn promotion, and last week I got a bronze medal for my contribution in my work. On the downside, coming to my GMAT score, I recently scored 600. So considering my experience and the GMAT score, what are my chances to get MBA from HEC Paris and INSEAD? Like, these are my target colleges.
Okay, all right. I'll have to look into your profile in a little bit more depth, Namika, but typically 600 is not competitive for the programs that you mentioned. Okay. You seem to have a very good profile. Not excluding that, I do think that if you are able to score 700, then you will be left with very, very good chances of making it to these two programs. Okay. But the 600 is going to make your application very, very weak.
Okay. Yeah. And apart from like a GMAT, like what extra can be done, like to build up my profile stronger, like any certification courses you would suggest? Or
okay, so you see, that's a very difficult question to answer. Okay, I think your profile is already good, right? So let's start from that. Now, if you're asking me what you can do to make it to INSEAD or HEC, given current profile, not so great GMAT, what else can be done? I would say probably nothing. If you're asking me, okay, I'm willing to consider colleges outside of HEC and INSEAD, and then what can I do? Then again, you don't have to do anything. Just find a different set of colleges and you will be successful. Now, if you're asking me INSEAD HEC, then I would say, hey, you know what, you should at least get it to 680, 700. I mean, 700 would be good, but if you're able to get it to 680, then at least it will be it's worth a shot, right?
Okay,
so
got it.
I don't think there's going to be anything you can do that will offset the GMAT score.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
So sorry. I mean, that's just how competitive things are. I'll take Preeti's question now. Hi, Preeti, are you with us? Okay, I cannot hear you, Preeti. Does somebody have any other question? Stanish, I think you're on mute.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. If no one else has, I'd be happy to take the time. Thank you, Karthik, for being very generous. I wanted to quickly ask, so normally business schools do want to really know who you are and what have you been doing, especially when you've taken these career breaks. And how much of this career break, I mean, perhaps taking 2 months to come back to India to spend some time before your first job, is that something that you might want to explain?
That's okay. I mean, just say you came back to India to spend some time with family. That's the only explanation that's required. Nothing more.
Right. Even if that's over a 3-month period, because business schools do think over a month or a couple of months is something that you want to intentionally bring forward. Correct?
See, I don't think it's something you need to stress about. Just give a reason for why you took a break, right?
Yeah.
I had a candidate, I think this was maybe about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
She graduated with a master's from NUS. She was working in the semiconductor industry for a couple of years in Singapore. And then she got married, and then she had kids, and then she had the second kid, and then she wasn't working for like 5 years, right? And then she came to me, and then she said, "Hey, Karthik, I want to apply," and we did. And she got into Imperial College, right? So a 5-year work break. So what were you doing in the 5 years? Is like, hey, you know what? I got married, I started a family, I had 2 kids, and then I had to wait for them to grow up and become independent, and then now I'm back, right? So, in fact, it wasn't even a big option, let's say, right? It was probably just about 3 or 4 sentences. That's about it.
Right.
Now, if you're not giving people that explanation, then, you know, the whole universe of explanations is applicable, including, hey, you know what, I was in jail for 5 years, right? Or
right.
I was in like a very high security prison in a different country because, you know, some random thing was happening, or I was going through a drug addiction rehabilitation program, or, you know, my company fired me because I was selling secrets to the competitor. You know, I mean, like lots of very, very bad explanations are possible, right?
Yeah.
Compared to that, spending time with family is like as harmless as things go, right? So just tell them, you know, hey, this is what happened in my life, and this is why I took a break, and that's about it. I don't think anybody is going to be upset with that. So that's perfectly fine. No issues at all. Just explain. And when I say explain, it's not like you have to come up with some rocket scientist level substantiation for why that break was necessary. You just tell them what you are doing with that. That's it.
Right. I think Preeti has posted a message on the chat.
Okay, let me just check. I'm taking this on my tablet, and
or perhaps I could read it for you. She says she's
no,
a software
I got
developer.
it.
Okay.
I think I'm not audible. I will post my question here. I'm a software developer with 5 years of experience. Great. I'm looking to pursue brand management. All right. But I've heard that international applicants aren't chosen for brand management and locals are preferred. I'm assuming you mean marketing in like the FMCG kind of sector or the luxury kind of sector. And whatever you've heard is absolutely true. Yeah. Can you suggest any good brand management courses in the US and Canada? I'm planning to take the GRE next month and looking at our 3 deadlines. Are you looking at MBA programs, or are you just looking at specific brand management courses? If you're looking at MBA programs, then any top 20, top 25 program is good for pretty much anything under the sun. It could be marketing, it could be technology, it could be investments, or it could be consulting, right? So provided you are able to get a 330 or so, you'll be eligible to apply for a top 20, top 25 program. So that becomes possible for you. My recommendation is don't say you want to get into brand management, because that's going to make your application weak. Just talk about a logical and acceptable career goal, get into the program, and then once you get into the program, what you do with your life is nobody's business. You apply to the company, and if Pepsi or Coke or Louis Vuitton is willing to hire you for a similar kind of profile, then go for it. I mean, that's everything that you need. The college is not going to come back and ask you, hey, you know what, you said you wanted to become a consultant, you wanted to become a banker, you wanted to become a product manager. Now, why are you getting a product manager? No, nobody's going to come. Your admissions consultant is not going to come behind you and say, hey, you know what, we spent so much time writing those essays, why are you going and saying anything? No, nobody's going to come behind you. So, but if you write brand management, especially pivoting from technology into brand management, you don't have one thing going against you, you have two things going against you. One is, A, you're not a local, and the second thing is you actually don't have any prior experience in that sector, right? So both of these are going to be working against you, and that may just result in a lack of admission in the first place, which means you won't even be able to chase regular jobs. So don't do that. Treat these as two separate problems. Getting into college is one problem, getting out of college is another problem. Right now, your target is to get into a top 20, top 25 program. Get a good GRE, put in a reasonable goals application, and you will get it. And then, you can do whatever you want. Is that fair? I think I may be able to take the next question. Does somebody else have a question?
Yes, I have one.
Mm-hmm.
Considering the multiple rounds of applications the colleges have, like I think for HEC there are some 9, it spans across some 9 months. So, and they always claim that all rounds are equally competitive. They have a fixed ratio for a ratio of intakes for each round. So is that true, or is it that it's always better to apply in round 1 or round 2?
No, see, this round 1 or round 2 business is the story when there are only 3 rounds of applications. For a college like HEC with 9 rounds, I think you can go up to round 4 or 5. That should still be okay. But given where we are, and given that March is probably when they'll have their first round for the January intake, I would recommend that you target that instead of round 5 or 6 for the September intake. It's just another 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
So that would be my recommendation, but you can actually go up to round 4 or 5. That should be fine.
Okay. Thank you.
I might just have one more question, Karthik, if you still have a bit of time. So one of the things that business schools also ask is your earning potential, or what you earn in your respective jobs. And for example, I've done a break in the art industry, in the art space. So I worked as a freelance dancer, and the hourly match to rate is not traditionally as you would do in the tech industry or a consulting industry, where as an artist, you normally spend maybe 40 hours, but then in the end, you're billed based on a show. So how would you present this space as a freelance artist? And what would be some of the pointers to keep in mind when you present that also as a career, or can you present that as a career?
That's an interesting question, because we are exploring what it means for something to move from the stage where it's a freelance gig to like a profession, right?
In between those technical careers, I've just intentionally tried to explore being an artist, and how do I really present that and put that in a more compelling, because when you look at these data points that admissions look at, it doesn't tell the whole story.
Yeah. No, I think that's what the optional essay is for. So you may want to just explain what you did, why that was fulfilling for you, and how that helped you as a person, right? I mean, helping is not just making money, it's also about finding something that you're searching for, and maybe just looking for an outlet, right? So what was the intent with which you pursued that, and how did you grow as a result, and why did you get back to tech, right? So you may just want to address those things. All right. Do we have any other questions?
Karthik, I have one more question.
Anita, is it okay if I hear from Ishita, because I don't think she's spoken so far?
Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you, Karthik. Congratulations on 10 years.
Thank you. Thank you. Almost.
Yes. I had two questions. One, what is considered to be a good GRE and GMAT score?
Okay.
And second, is GMAT and GRE equally accepted for all programs, or is it that I should only write GMAT for MBA?
Okay. See, both the GRE and the GMAT are both fine. I don't think schools differentiate too much between that. Now, if you're looking at a top 15 program, the answer is a little different for Indian men and Indian women. Okay. For an Indian female applicant, we are probably looking at around 740 for a top 15 and maybe like a 750 for a top 10.
Okay.
This is in terms of the GMAT. Now you can look at the ATS GRE GMAT converter, and then you can find an equivalent GRE from there. But typically, I think a 333 or a 334 is considered to be equivalent to a 750, 760, right? And a 331, 332 may be equivalent to a 740, maybe like a 330 is a 740. So that would be the benchmark.
All right, got it. And given my verbal isn't that great, and I was preparing for GRE and my GMAT, and my verbal is not very strong. Which exam would be easier?
No, I don't think there's a concept. I mean, a lot of people do think that one exam is going to be significantly easier than the other. What I found in practice is that you'll end up on either side of the benchmark score, right?
All right.
So the GRE benchmarks 325 to be a 700. You'll get a 325 if you take the GRE, and you'll get a 700 if you take the GMAT. You know, plus minus 10 points. If you get a 325 on the GRE, your GMAT is likely to be between 690 and 710. Whereas if you get a 700 on the GMAT, your GRE is likely to be between 323 and 327, right? Very rarely is the deviation bigger than that. Okay. Occasionally, you may have a bigger deviation. I would just say take a mock exam both ways and see where your percentile scores are better. If you find that your verbal percentile scores are significantly different on one test versus another, then take the test where it's higher. What I mean is, let's say you take a mock GRE and you score a 70 percentile. Forget the number, right? Forget whether it says 140 or 150 or 170, right? Just forget all that. What is the percentile score? And then take a mock GMAT and then look at the verbal score and see what's the percentile right there. And if there's a bigger than 10 percentile difference, then take the one which is higher.
Got it. Got it. Thank you so much.
All right. I can take Anita's question right now.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah, Anita, go on.
So, is there any possibility of getting a guidance for September 2023 intake where my GRE score is 321?
Okay.
Top 50 colleges at least.
Sorry, can you speak a little louder? Your GRE is 321. You want to
321,
do the
and I want. Is there any possibility of? I want to know that is there any possibility of getting a guidance for September 2023 intake?
See, for round 2, we may be able to do like one application by, let's say, Jan 5 to 10.
Okay.
Further applications with later deadlines can be done. But with a Jan 5 to 10 deadline, we can probably commit to one school. And then, we probably need about 10 days per school after that. So by the end of Jan, we can do 2 more. And then by mid-Feb, we can do 2 more, right?
Okay.
So if your deadlines are consistent with this, then definitely, yes, we can help you with that. Round 3 is definitely doable in terms of timelines. In terms of feasibility and whether it's advisable for you, that I'm unable to say at this point because there's the 2 competing factors that I was just talking about, right? Typically, we say no to round 3, but this year it seems that colleges have not received a lot of applications till round 1. So if that status continues till round 2, then round 3 may actually be okay this year. So we wouldn't know unless round 2 is completed.
Okay, so can I communicate with you or have a further discussion?
Yes, please. Yes, please. You can send an email and then we can take it up from there. Typically, what we say is we'll have a one-to-one call first. We charge 2K for one-to-one calls, and then we'll subtract it when you sign up.
Okay.
So I'll send you the details.
Okay.
I'll also give a brief overview of our counseling process. When somebody starts working with us, the first step is for us to understand their background. And we ask a few questions, and then we ask you to write down responses to this. Now, this process is something, this is a normal process which takes about 3-4 months. If you are looking at a Jan 10 deadline, we may not be going through all of these steps because we'll have to accelerate the process, right? But yeah, let's say we have 3 months. What we'll do is we'll ask you to share some incidents from your life. So I'll ask you some questions and I'll ask you to write down responses. Candidates take about 15-20 days for this. Our targeted plan time is 12 days. And then we'll come up with a short list for you based on your GRE or GMAT and then the strength of your work and personal profile, right? Post that, we'll get into the college applications. Now, for every college in our comprehensive package, we'll have one brainstorming call. In our ultra package, we don't have a limit. So there's a difference between these two packages. The charges are also different, which I'll let you know shortly.
Okay.
And so we'll have one call per college. And we'll meet for that brainstorming call. We'll discuss all the essay questions, and then we'll look at whatever stories you have from your life, you know, both your work life, your personal life, and your community service. And then we'll cherry pick the story which may be the best suited as responses to these questions. So after that, I'll help you put together a structure for each essay, and then we'll close the call. Then you'll write a draft based on the structure. Typically, if you execute it exactly as per the bullet point structure, you should be very close to that. Then you'll share the draft with me. I'll take about 2-3 days to get back to you with my comments. And then you'll share a revised draft. We'll go back and forth till we get it right. Very simple and straightforward process. And we'll follow a similar process for the resume and the letters of recommendation as well. And after this is done, we'll use the same process for second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever number of schools you sign up with us for. Right? So that's how that works. In our 3-school comprehensive package, we don't have interview prep by default. We charge separately for it. And in our 5-school package, we have interview prep by default, right? And in our ultra packages, we have a 3-school and a 5-school, and interview prep is there by default. So that's how that works. Now, as of round 2 for the 2023 intake, we've been charging people 1,95,000 plus GST for the 3-school package, 2,50,000 plus GST for the 5-school package, and 3,40,000 plus GST for the 5-school ultra package. So these have been our table of charges for this year's set of applications. We plan to revise it in for the upcoming year. So that's definitely going to be that. This is what we did last year, and we are doing the same thing this year as well. But next year we are probably going to be increasing. So yeah, that's everything that I have on the packages itself. And if you want more clarity, please send me an email. We can set up a one-to-one call, and then we can take it forward from there.
Thank you, Karthik, for explaining the packages with detail. Looking forward to.
Sure. Please send me. Yes. All right. Any final questions before we close our call for today?
I'd probably reach out to you on LinkedIn, Karthik.
Sounds good, Stanish. Yeah, you have a great profile, so definitely you'll be able to do it.
Thank you.
Preeti, Ishita, anything from your side? Okay, I think that's everything. So yeah, great season this year. And if you guys are applying in round 2 or round 3, definitely wish you all the best. And I'll probably catch up with a new set of applicants in a few months, I think. So thanks so much for attending. And this session will live on YouTube for a while at least. For people who are following us on YouTube, just like, share, or subscribe, because that helps boost our credibility in front of YouTube's algorithm, and that helps our small business marketing a little bit. Not a little bit, it helps us a lot, actually. And yeah, also for the benefit of people watching this on YouTube, some point we'll be splitting this into chapters. So if you have a question related to what can I do as a young applicant, then I know we had a discussion for around 5 minutes there. Just click on that part and then you go there. What will I do as an older applicant? Again, we had a discussion for that. Just click on that part and go there. So we'll be splitting this up into chapters, and whatever's most relevant for you, just click on that. You don't have to watch the whole 1 hour video. And definitely, for everybody who attended today, thank you so much. And I'm glad that we got to meet, and wish you all the best. Thank you.
Congrats on 10 years.
Thank you so much.